of Protoss players who aren't like the YOLO tosses like SOS imparting is not only are they like they have their style and they stick to it, but almost religiously following kind of like innovation to an extent for Terran.
Well, hopefully they get their settings all done quickly here. I would really like to get into these games. Their settings all done. Okay, so we're getting word that Trap switched his seat because of the sun, but that darn sun moved, and then he had to switch back.
That sun was one step ahead on the build there.
It truly was. And if I'm not mistaken, the sun will probably move more today.
I cannot confirm that from personal experience, but I'll take your word for it.
Meanwhile, Q is like fully in the sun. He doesn't care.
No problem there. I mean, Terran players already contend with so much, right? Sun in your eyes is the least of your worries.
Not a problem.
Oh, there we go. The Jin Air Green Wings, the dominant team, like kind of the surviving team out of Korea. Most of the top players and some of the ones, of course, like Cure, that are always doing well coming out of that. And they still maintain kind of a team house atmosphere.
Yeah, they still have their team house. They're undoubtedly the most successful team of all time at this point. Since the Kespa disbandment of most of the pro teams, Jin Air has been in almost every finals for the Korean leagues, and very many for everything else as well. So really shows what the power of a team can do. But that sometimes makes a match like this look very strange, because there should be some internal mind games that are actually pretty hard for us to spot, where, you know, they'll start to open a certain way, and like, for instance, Kier might know that Trap knows that he plays like this, so it'll make it look slightly different.
Yeah, Maru's just messaging him right now. And we are ready to go. I don't know, I heard something, and now I'm just floundering. Save me.
Okay, we have the players in the lobby. We're almost there. It's almost time.
Just building anticipation.
Yes.
Так, ребят, тестовая проверка перед началом. Пока я еще не готов, я донастраиваюсь немного. Скажите, пожалуйста, как меня слышно? Раз, два. Проверка в интернете.
I always look up to people, so always the Terrans that I consider better than me, I like to watch, or even to me.
Yeah.
So like if...
Are there any you consider below you?
Many.
Most.
Many.
A lot, yeah.
Так, еще разок.
But for example, like when we talk about the Korean Terrans, like if some Korean Terran like Bunny or Cure in this case are streaming, I would always tune in.
Ah, excellent. Well.
Always try and watch their games. And of course in GSL as well.
Here we go. We are in game number 1 in the bottom right. Our Korean Protoss player from Jin Air Green Wings, it's Trap.
Так, добрый вечер. Точнее, добрый день. Я пока еще не начну комментить, сейчас я донастрою пару элементов. Осталось совсем чуть-чуть. Привет, ребята, я уже в студии. Так, сообщения чата сейчас должны появиться на экране. Напишите что-нибудь.
Another Jin Air player. It's Cure. Some Cure fans out there. I think he's been building him up.
Yeah, I think so for sure. It's kind of what Trap went through in the past year, going from a player no one really spoke about into a player that everyone really appreciates.
Gemini.
Yeah, he's known a
Сейчас я
lot.
чат найду. Не за своим компом очень неудобно.
Last night.
Yes.
So in the 6 games of the best of 5 between Kier and Parting, I feel Parting brought him all the way to the... Like, Parting is an advanced Trap, but also lacks a lot of the polish, I guess, around the edges. Do you think... Also you, Big Game. Like, do you think Trap looks at that and is like, I'm going to do some crazy base trades, I'm going to try to throw him off, or you think he just sticks with whatever game plan he has?
I don't think he's going to try to play like Parting. They have a completely different playstyle.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I feel like Parting shows you like possibilities, you know? Like a lot of those games didn't look winnable for Parting last night, and then he just kind of somehow magics his way out of it by walking up a ramp on top of the barracks or something like that.
It's in a game that so rare nobody wins, except the fans, of course. But
all right, so looking at these openings, what are you expecting to see here from Cure?
So first thing to notice from Trap here is he didn't probe scout, so that's kind of awkward.
Их трансляция упала? Серьезно? Лол, такое бывает.
But like the Nexus and stuff like that is slightly faster, while you still maintain more gas income. It's kind of greedy, of course, if you get rushed by like a second proxy Rex or even full proxy. But in this case, he got away with it, and Cure was playing safe, and he didn't scout like a fast cybercore. So now Trap is doing nothing that Cure or Trap is doing something that doesn't matter if it gets scouted, and he didn't scout, so he's even a little greedy. So that's already a good start for him, and he's just playing standard from now on.
it looks like we're going back to the standard playbook here. We got like this is actually almost a little bit
Главный
further
вопрос,
back.
как сделать
We
так,
got
чтобы чат заработал на
four
Windows
players
10?
instead of going for a super
Такое.
third.
Interestingly enough, a lot of Protoses go for a sentry and then
Yeah.
2-gate. But I also saw that Parting doing, and now Travis doing it as well.
Скачивание
He's
возникли
getting,
кабельные
like,
причине.
1-gate
Это
into
где?
Twilight, into Robo.
Какое скачивание ОБС?
Without a sentry, of course, because you don't have to gas. And now he's getting 2 more gases. So I
Ладно, я
assume that
понял.
there's not going to be a double forge play. And it doesn't look like he's going to take the third base.
А, я
anytime
вспомнил,
soon.
как этот баг
For
фиксить.
this reason, it might be a Robo Bay.
Yeah, I would imagine that we are going to see him go into Colossus from here. Trap does like to play that very kind of defensive style, having Blink to defend everything and getting into that Colossus for the splash.
Well, beautifully scouted there. This map is pretty easy to cover all your bases. You got a watchtower right in the center, and there's not too many alternative paths. So the Widowmine drop, not a huge surprise. And I think Trap, like, it's always like, this is the kind of situation where the third try at a Widowmine drop is what has a chance. But the
Did
first couple.
your scout the third base from Trap? Is there still a Reaper around? No, it died, right? So
Yeah, it did
he
that.
didn't scout the third base.
I'm not sure if he saw anything in the main there, but
I mean, he saw the Twilight and everything, so he does know about that. He's going for 2 Metavex, which I think is quite strange. That's not something that you see very often, especially if the Protoss is just staying on 2 bases. I'm not too sure about it.
Would you prefer him to just immediately go for a command center here?
Well, he doesn't know if
Так,
it's blocked.
друзья, вы знаете, напишите, пожалуйста,
Now he
по
knows.
сообщению в
Now
чат,
he-
проверить.
I was wondering, because with the first Medevac, you're always trying to get into the natural, so you can see the gases over there. If there are 4 gases, it's like something 2 base heavy, like Storm, DTs, a Blink Stalker attack, maybe even, or Colossus. So he made a second Medevac. So with the first one, he went into the main. With that one, he doesn't scout anything. But then he made a second one, which now scouted the natural. So now he knows, so everything is good.
It doesn't feel like he's really gotten very much.
Он
done.
должен работать.
3 mines die and only 2 probes.
Yeah, it's very hard to do any damage against a Proto staying on 2 bases. At the same time, if the Proto stays on 2 bases, you're feeling pretty comfortable as a turn.
is the priority here, like, when they're on 2 base, you don't really need to kill probes, especially just keeping those Medevacs alive and maybe eventually being able to get them back to the army. Is there anything Cure needs to do? Like, are you adding on other tech buildings?
So he's gonna
Так,
do
еще раз
the final
сообщение, ребят.
attack like always. When you scout Colossus, the probability of a Warp Prism harassment at the same time is very low, even if it's on 2 bases. So you can just push across the map with everything, pressure, like try and pressure a trap here, and then take the third base at the same time. But what I prefer to do against Colossus is not really commit, because I think it's very hard to commit into there. And the reason you don't want to commit is because normally when the Terran player pushes out at this time, he would be maybe early even. But more importantly, the Protoss would already have 1-1 upgrades and like 2-2 very soon on the way. But for Cure, there's nothing to fear here. He is even in upgrades, and you always feel good.
Так,
if you
вроде
have
норм.
upgrades, I think.
Так, продолжу подготовку. Пока ждите.
Well, what you're
Со
saying
следующей
is,
игры уже 100% комментарии будут, потому что вас впереди ждет матч Серого против Инновейшена.
Yeah, he's just
Я думаю,
like
даже
trying
Кьюра Трэпа мы еще
to
зацепим.
survive. And then that's a good playstyle, because if you are the better player, you can do a lot. Like the Warp Prism, he's super safe. You don't get like killed by a timing attack at all, he's going straight into late game. That's pretty much what this build order forces. It might not be the most optimal, like having 2-2 on the way after defending the 2 medevac push might be very good and much better of a position, but this is a very safe way to play for Trap.
Well, Trap really does like to get to the late game of PvT. He gets very, very strong when he gets out his Disruptors and Tempests, so one of the more comfortable Protosses in that phase, I think.
We're seeing again, Trap 50 probes, no probes on the way. He's getting all his tech, his infrastructure together, getting his gates up. He's got a few upgrades. He's going to poke out on the map, and I think after he pokes, sees that Cure already is kind of well set up, unless he's out, like Cure somehow doesn't see the army move out, then maybe that's when we're looking at Templar Archives, maybe a second Robo, but I doubt it.
At this point, we have to pay attention to the gas at the 3rd base for Trap. It isn't 100% clear yet if he's committing on to like a 3-base attack or just playing super safe here. So he hasn't taken the gas yet, and he just swapped in 7 Stalkers, so it looks like he's gonna push across the map and do a timing attack.
Yeah, those Colossi stepping their way across. Warp Prism, the indicator. He means business here, especially when it's going with the army. Cure gonna poke and prod, sees the Colossi, gonna pull back. A few Vikings on the way, but a handful of units trapped to start. Not bad for the Protons.
Yeah, nice little force fields right there, getting up towards this 3rd base.
Just the other 2 medevacs.
Here they are. Oh, maybe going for a bit of a flank here. Okay, here we go. He pulls the SCVs immediately, stims forward. A couple force fields go down. Those Colossus shots are connecting beautifully right now.
The Medevac's going towards the 3rd. He's going to go for the base trade option, but Stalker's reinforced. Not enough Vikings to take down the Colossi.
Having the 2 medevacs across the map, I think, is not great for Cure here. He's doing a lot of damage, but he can't kill this army anymore, and with another Colossus on the way and Wobbins at home, he's going to defend against the 2 medevacs.
Do you think he should have gone for the pincer attack and tried to flank from the back before the critical mass of, well, Stalkers in the front?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think if he had everything together, 4 medevacs and all that by units, and maybe pulled back and not fought at the 3rd base, he should have been fine.
Yeah, well, he's gotten some counter damage done here. 17 probes end up falling, but the 3rd Nexus is still alive. This command center should end up dying, so it really feels like a big lead for Trap after all that.
He doesn't have a 2nd starport, so he's never going to be able to do anything against the Colossus count. So
we did say we weren't going to, it was going to look a little different than Parting versus Cure, but right now with Colossi stepping into the natural and an attempted base trade, it feels like Cure is not, like Big Gabe said, he's not quite in the stable position. Storm is on the way, but thankfully for Cure, at least he has those ghosts in production.
He's getting the EMP upgrade.
И еще раз черканите что-нибудь, please.
Very, very difficult for Cure. His supply is not that bad. The worker count isn't so bad either, but the problem is really the starport production. He has a medevac that's empty, his power units are still stimmed, but he also needs to get like Vikings here. So what do? You try to do like medevacs and Vikings out of 1 starport. That takes so much time that in this time, Trevor's gonna get his economy back right up.
Yeah, with his Storm finishing up and everything. Another Robo coming up.
It feels like, well, Trap only have 46 probes, so he doesn't really have the money to just continually warp in, produce, get all of the upgrades. So he picks and chooses, throwing a couple sentries in there. 1 Guardian Shield for an army of 100 supply has such ridiculous cost efficiency.
Yeah. And now with the second Robo, I think he's actually just going to go into Disruptors from here. It's just the right way to do it, since there are Vikings being made, since the Ghosts are coming out. The Disruptor is going to give him that non-stop splash damage coming out.
4 Colossi to deal with. I think there's just 4 or 5 Vikings with that. 4 Vikings with that army.
Yes.
And the boys are coming across the map. He's got 1 shot.
Oh.
He's got 1 opportunity.
His ghost just got peed back, so he doesn't even have MP at this point.
He has 1 less opportunity.
Yeah,
a single drop.
Not looking super hot right now for him. A little bit of a drop in the back there. Oh my God, the Templar flank just so strong right there. Trap starts to attack up the hill, thinks better of it, backs up for now.
The SCVs, a curveball, but he targets it down just in time. Still a Guardian Shield helping to protect. The Vikings doing damage. Storm splashing all over the Marines and Marauders. The Vikings have to step back. The gateway units are starting to evaporate, but the probes come out. The last Colossus.
Oh, man. Yeah, and I mean,
Wait,
Not many
look at the
units
soup.
really left over here.
That was actually very close.
Yeah.
One last storm really did a lot of damage.
Oh.
Like, he was
Oh.
one high tempo away from losing the game, I felt like.
Yeah, I think you could be right about that. And it's kind of funny, too. He did get a lot of probe damage done during that time. So look at this. I mean, 32 Army Supply for Kier, 25 for Trap, but only 17 SCVs against just 31 probes.
This is where losing. Oh wow, yeah, he just taps it out.
Yeah, yeah.
He did have a good army supply, but he still has to rally across the map before he can use it. And at that point, Trap would already have more.
Well, that's where losing that third command center really hurts. Like, you got
Yeah,
3
actually,
orbitals to fall back
If
on.
he didn't lose that one, he would have actually been in a pretty good spot here.
I think that was a lot. Well, it kind of ended up a lot closer because it feels like you have
Yeah.
Colossi. and
Сейчас,
some
ребят,
of this other
тестирование.
stuff. We've all
Тестирование,
seen that
проверка
story
всего.
better before. I've watched your stream before, Big Gabe, but Trap did not go for the economy early on. He didn't be like, it wasn't like, oh, I can lose 20 probes to a double drop.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he, in a lot of ways, let Kier do what Kier wanted to do because he was playing so defensively at that point, like not putting in any early damage. That's what Trap wants. But you can see that even in a situation like that, where it felt like Trap had a good advantage, still Kier almost took that end fight. Trap is looking to win just by small margins in a game like this.
So I think one of the hardest parts of TVP is when you've got like a whole variety pack of splash damage from the Protoss. How do you handle that situation? Like, what is your first priority in that type of scenario Kier was in?
When he did the last attack,
Yeah.
I think he did everything right. It's very hard to explain. Pretty much what you want to do is your Vikings have to be safe, so you don't want your Vikings to like die to 10 Stalkers. That's what he did, so he kept his Vikings underneath the buy units. That was very helpful. And he didn't have any Ghosts anymore, so the only way to do this was spreading. So you pulled back some units here and there, so that Colossus only hit a small amount of units. And then he tried to split. That was more like the micro that he had to do.
I feel like it all happens, like, you got about a second and a half to pull off so many important things.
Normally you would never take a fight like that. Normally you would have Ghost and you would try to get an EMP. And you can't really engage before getting that EMP. In this case he didn't have any Ghost, so he had to rely on micro. And he did do a good job because his Vikings were uncontested, so that was the key part of that fight.
All right. Well, here we go into the next game. We are right now on Thunderbird in the bottom right from Jin Greenwings and South Korea. It's Trap.
And in the top left, making the best of a bad situation. Hopefully he can find himself in a little better one this time around. The Terran player Cure. There's a noticeable difference in support then.
He was opening up with the gas first. If Trap doesn't go for the Probe Scout again, this could be very good for him. Because normally what the Probe Scout is supposed to do is figure out if it's gas first or not. And by sending the probe across the map and seeing that, you can judge if you have to defend against Hellions. So if it's gas first, you can get it reactive.
Сейчас проверка всех захватов, всех чатов, ребят. Это без стрима не проверить, к сожалению. Я же не дома, я же в студии.
Do you favor the Hellion drop builds very much? Is it map dependent?
I think it's more map dependent for sure. On this map it's very weak, because proxying a starport here is not that easy, and getting into the main unspotted is even harder. I think if you want to go for a Hellion drop, it's probably a good idea on a weird map like World of Sleepers, or maybe on Acropolis and Disco Bloodbath, or like the more standard maps.
Yeah. I think
One.
it's a good strat to mix in,
Yeah, like
or to do every game if
it's
you're playing against
actually
parting.
not that good of a strategy, but if people are not aware of it, it's very good.
What do you think of the new build that we've been seeing quite a bit, the 4 Marine, like 2 Hellion push?
I'm not sure. It seems like a build on the smaller maps, I think. I'm not too sure about it, because it was there at some point. Maybe to mix it up, people do that, or maybe because people go for quick adapts a lot of times, and if you have reacted Marines, then quick adapts are not really a problem.
Stargate.
Cool.
I think Stargate is kind of the indicator of. I'm confident. I'm
Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
drilling.
Drilling Claws Rush?
The Thor drop build order.
Thor drop build.
Now that
He's
is something
giving
that
me a cheeky
some-
smile over here.
Is there actually a
Some
Thor drop
Korean-
build?
No.
No, okay.
So some Koreans do that. Like for
That was a
example,
German joke.
Bunny really likes to do that.
Mm-hmm. You mean the Drilling Claws
This
drop
is like
rush?
a Korean ladder build order from.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, this is something that actually happens on the Korean ladder and is unbelievably frustrating to play against.
So he's gonna go quick drilling claws, and then as soon as it's ready, he's gonna switch to factory with the barracks, and then he's just gonna pump out medevacs constantly, and he's also gonna make, like wood mine drops everywhere.
How much is it gonna matter if it gets scouted? Because it's likely the Oracle is gonna come in, see the armor.
If
see
it gets
the
scouted, it can be like a really easy defense.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know it's coming, it feels like it can snowball really, really quickly because you won't necessarily have your detection. You're probably not going to move your probes quickly enough.
So for example, if Trap did the same build order like he did in last game, his observer would arrive very late into the base, and then this build order could actually do a lot. In addition, this build only works on maps like this because it's very greedy. So even if it gets scouted, it's not like that bad, as long as you're not getting punished.
Did he just put the Widowmine in the shadow of the command center where it's hard? Oh my god. This is why you turn shadows off, right?
It's all sorts of little things where you can hide these. Now, the Oracle's coming across.
Oh,
Okay, three.
This is really bad.
Uh-oh.
that was like the
I
worst
think Trap
possible
knows.
time.
He's not really 100% sure.
Well, if he sees that armory, I think he can probably figure it out reasonably quickly.
Yeah. But he wasn't 100% sure if there was still a Widow mine.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't dive in as much as he could have.
5
So,
kills is a really good start, though.
Yeah, it's not that bad though, because he doesn't have that many units. Oh, he recalled these.
Yeah.
units. Okay, yeah. Then this could be really good for Trap.
All right, the Widowmine's dropping out, dunking right into the ground, and that, well,
Ooh!
all right.
If the first Widow mine hit an Oracle, this could have been even again.
Mm-hmm.
He activated all the oracles, so there are not enough energy
Yeah,
for population.
that seemed a little bit weird, right? Because I understand he was kind of panicking and wanting to get that damage out.
Oh no.
Oh,
Wait, did
actually,
he
if
just turn them on
25
again?
Oh no, he misclicked it.
He
Oh,
just
God.
turned the oracles on again. He just wasted all of their energy. There's no detection.
My
He has to wait
mom
for the
always
cannon.
said not to turn the light on and off.
I
right?
know, yeah.
Waste too much energy.
At least this one gets deflected.
Mm-hmm. Very, very important.
Oh no.
This is a very difficult position to judge.
Dun, dun,
Oh, look at that. So
dun,
smart.
dun, dun, dun.
It's a really difficult position to judge because every Widow mine drop is going to matter.
Yeah.
Even if Kyo doesn't do a lot of damage, because it's super greedy what he does, he's not like in a worse position. But Robo Bay, I think, is really good against this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You're getting like a lot of tier 1 or tier 1.5 units as a turn. You get like Marines.
Так, ребят, в сети, пожалуйста, в онлайне скажите, как меня слышно относительно комментаторов. Сильно ли они громкие по сравнению со мной? Хорошо ли слышно меня?
Third CC finishing
Похоже ли
off
на
there.
домашний звук?
Explosion coming up as well.
Их-то я выключу, потом я из игры буду стримить. Главное, чтобы меня было слышно хорошо.
So it kind of feels like Kier's keeping his options open.
That burrowing so quickly right there. Gives up his adept.
You just have to like wait and see for each one of these. Very quick, but
Oh, how did these get in there?
they walked.
This is kind of a funny thing about this, right? I mean, these are doing a good job, I would say. It's not like the best. Sometimes you do see this get out of control, but he's getting some random units here and there.
If he's even in workers, this is definitely not that bad. And the production tab also tells a story here.
Uh-oh.
This is what we want to have as a turn.
Retargeting. 4 more.
So painful.
You can't even forget one.
No.
That's a game changer. And Kier's gonna land his 3rd command center. He's got some meta. Oh wow!
Is he
what?
though? Is he gonna land it?
Not if that probe has anything to say about it. Go back to PVZ probe. Slaps it down. So I feel like Kier did well. Like that did everything. Like he got the return on investment, but it didn't put him in a huge lead or anything.
So like I said, it's a greedy build order. He didn't really get punished. The Oracles didn't do as much. And he did reasonable damage, so he should come out ahead after this. But it's very dangerous to play like that, because you're delaying your stop on units. So if Trap does a Colossus push again, he might be in trouble. Considering that he doesn't have the Twilight though, I think this is really good for Q.
It's like everybody's out on the map here. Kind of a bit of an assortment of Protoss units. A Colossus, some Stalkers, Sentries, Oracles, Phoenixes, and even an Immortal taking shelter under the legs.
Yeah, he's getting quite a few more gates and throwing up that 4th Nexus, so definitely going to wait a little bit longer before an attack.
The next step for the Terran in this position is get upgrades, get the 4th base, and then get the Fusion Contest second stop, what I think. In this game, I imagine he doesn't make Vikings.
Confirms the 4th here, so this is kind of the turning point. Like, what kind of game are we playing?
He's gonna go for the Vikings. A lot of times I see this with straight into Liberator range. I mean, Vikings are always fine. It's not a bad choice.
Hold on, did he just... Okay, there's the second starport. So
Argos Academy, I mean,
feel like
you
when
can
you're
go both.
when your opponent already has, you know, a handful of Vikings and they've got 2 Colossus out, 3rd on the way or something like that, and then you start Vikings, I always feel like that's going to be something you need 2 starports for.
I think the EMP, like EMP upgrade, actually kind of factors in a little here. Like if you can actually hit the Colossi, they only have 150 HP.
That is true.
Oh, does he? Oh, trap, trap.
Yeah, taking a bit of damage this game.
Yeah, a little rough around the edges, but it.
Not as clean, but I mean it's a drilling mod.
I'm pretty sure Travis is gonna attack very soon. I think. Because he's lining up upgrades and he's morphing Arkans. He doesn't get Storm. So it looks like he's just gonna
kind of brute force his way.
Get an army like in the last game, but this time because he's a little later, he has more gas out of that dirt and he gets Arkans.
I feel like Cure has all the tools he needs this time around, though. He's got a bunch of Vikings. I think he's building a planetary at the 4th.
I agree.
I think he's up to like 10 Vikings at this point as well. So
he's got a healthy number of ghosts
6.
too.
That's almost 10.
He's gonna have 10. By the time he hits the attack, he's gonna have 10.
Yeah.
Double drop spotted out, but he sees the army, maybe looking for a recall. A lot of options out here with the double-double.
Oh, this is really good for Q.
Yeah, he does pull that back.
Drop in with the Colossi. Well,
it doesn't matter if he loses these units. If he buys enough time to the point where 2-2 finishes, there's no way he can lose a fight.
Did you know Oracles do slightly more damage than a medevac heals?
I'm watching it, yeah.
Well, now you do. And Trap has had enough. He's coming across the map. He just finished up, I believe it was it +2 weapons or +1?
He has both of them about to finish here.
And, well, Cure has 2-2 done. He actually has an upgrade advantage against the Protoss.
Yeah. Don't see that every day.
A lot of Vikings, Ghosts. Cure pulled back a lot of his army.
This is a little dangerous because he only has 2 medevacs.
He does have a lot of Vikings there, but the Archons and Stalkers can definitely zone those
This is a great wallpaper.
I think
I know, that's some box art right there.
Emil!
Good cat, no, bad cat.
Bad cat.
I think this should be a very easy fight for Cure.
Like, I always I want to perplexes me how long it takes professional players to realize, yeah, I guess maybe I shouldn't attack into a planetary. It usually feels like they need to dip their toe in and see if it's a good idea. Lose like 25 zealots.
He doesn't have blink, and Cure has so many Vikings. So if he goes into the natural or 3rd base, the Vikings are gonna have a good time. You can't counter them with like a blink or something like that. But what can happen here is he forced the stim. So now he might just run back with his army and might kite his way to like winning that fight actually. But I do believe that Cure here should be able to win that fight.
Yeah, in the position that they're in right now, I'd be really surprised if Cure did not take that out.
So if he now immediately pulls back and kites this bio army, this could be really good for Trump actually.
Well, we've had a lot of time to anticipate. He pulls back immediately. EMPs from the north. The Vikings getting some good shots off. Not targeting the Colossi to start. Bio-microing back. EMPs not on the Archons. Oracles trying to participate. They're not going to last too long. The planetary at half HP.
This is really good control by Trump.
Yeah, he definitely is micro nicely. I saw that the Oracles were getting targeted down by these Vikings. So now suddenly the Vikings do not deal with the Colossus. Only 1 Colossus falling during this.
The planetary helping, but it definitely felt like Cure wasn't focusing on dealing with the splash damage there. He was kind of just trying to make sure his units, well, he wasn't doing damage, he was trying to avoid.
I'm still feeling confident in Cure here because he has 8 barracks production.
That's around the boys in front. Vikings still helping, too, with almost no HP, but they're going to knock down the last Colossi. Reinforcements on the way, but charge lots aren't going to turn the tides here.
Well, there's like no army left for Trap. He brought everything he had to bear there, so this is a situation where however many gates he has, he can warp in units, but his army is like nothing. Look at that. Is that army scary? Yes, it is scary, but...
That's like 40 supply of dead bile right there.
What's that? The Disruptor is worth 34 supply.
He is a Templar as well.
Yeah.
In this kind of position, it's good to just stabilize his turn, I think, since he can just get 3-3. And like I said, if you even an upgrade or even a hat, you're fine. Like you don't really need to do a lot as a turn.
But it feels like you're playing like a scenario mission or something. It's not something you expect to have in almost any game.
Now there are reasons why he has the upgrade advantage. Most of the time the reason is because the opponent gets Colossus.
But adding that third robo, I feel like the upgrades don't matter quite as much. Disruptors, frankly, don't care what your upgrades are.
Yeah.
They don't discriminate.
No.
But you can't really kill the opponent with Disruptors.
No.
As a turn, you're happy in that situation.
I feel like Trap, the first 5 to 10 seconds of the fight, good. The next 30 seconds felt... It felt like almost inevitable that he's, well, I'm attacking, we gotta try it.
Well, when he went up the ramp with his remaining units there, that was kind of silly.
Stalker
Because he's like,
Colossus.
okay, let me get into the most flankable position. You can actually come at me from 360 degrees now, and my army's much smaller than before. Like, if he runs back there, he's going to be feeling a lot better right here.
Well, as Big Gabe said, if he tries to go up to the natural at third, it's going to be a good time for Cure.
So true. That's what we saw. All right, so Prism speed, more upgrades. A Prism coming out.
I think Cure kind of forgot about air weapons. If he got that upgrade when he was getting 2-2, he would now be on the way to +2 air weapons. And +2 air weapons, 2-shot stalkers. Like the Liberators are going to 2-shot stalkers.
Okay, you got him, Trout. But do you feel the Liberators are, well, it feels on this map that's the way to close
Against
it out.
Disruptors, you have to make Liberators. You can't attack with like Viking, Bio.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. The only way to do that is if you go for like a timing-based build. So if you did like a 2 medevac poke at the beginning, you can kind of play very scrappy and try to take like battles. But if you play defensively like Cure did, you have to go into Liberators.
I think that here Trap, like he's starting to poke up here, but you know, like Winter said, once he puts his toe in, I think he's going to realize this is not an area you want to attack. And I think we are going to need to see Tempest here. What? He's just got... Okay.
Well, the Bio retreated pretty far back.
That was terrible.
Fighting under Liberators into a planetary. Okay. On this episode of Good Ideas.
The alligator bit his toe off right there.
You should start +2 air weapons immediately now.
Is it +2 air weapon? Well,
yeah,
there are
+2 is
armor
very,
upgrades.
very important. Yeah, there you go. So you did realize. All good now.
Yeah,
But he could have had it by now. And if he had +2 now with Liberator range, that army from Trap would like completely... That would be gone. Because his only way to deal with the Liberators right now is the Stalkers. And with +2 you can 2-shot them. And with +2 like Stalkers are actually useless against Liberators a lot of times.
We got Storm. Well, actually, Storm just now on the way.
Yeah.
Так, раз, два, три, проверка. Со следующей игры мы попробуем прокомментить следующий матч. Я сейчас проверил, вроде все, что необходимо было для этого ивента уже подготовлено. Осталось совсем чуть-чуть. Народ, кстати, уже Винстрайк начал подтягиваться, и это здорово. Привет вам.
I like the way that Trap plays. He's just gonna contain and take more bases, and at some point he's gonna transition.
That's a lot of death ball there, but if the Liberators are in the right spot, so a couple Zealots. Cure unfortunately maxed out, which means he doesn't have too many reinforcements to work with. A lot of Disruptors, but well, if the Liberators are in position, that army can't go wherever those Liberators are, but they can't be everywhere at once.
Breaking down these rocks, starting to rotate around a little bit.
He was on a sensor tower as well, a little bit slow on the reaction. Oh, Disruptor finds some connections. Bio's expendable, but it's you don't want to just give it away for free.
So I think there's the point in the game where he's gonna throw down a few Fleet Beaten and more Stargates, I think, after deflecting a drop.
The Zealots are...
Wouldn't mind seeing like just the completion of all the tech at this point. Get that Dark Shrine out there as well.
The
Keep
push
those forges
begins
going.
across the map. Leapfrogging the Liberators, are we looking at, that's 10 12, something like that. Double-digit liberators are when it starts to be. You just this entire screen is going to be a no
Yes.
for you, Trap.
It's going to be a no for you. I like
It's a very good timing by Kill.
Oh, and
He's
new.
gonna have +2 very soon. And like Trap's army is pretty much not really that strong. He has like so much to apply into disruptors, and I don't know, like this army doesn't look scary at all.
The sneakiest Templar. The Ghost, though.
Ooh.
Okay.
It was a good idea. It just didn't work out.
Now it's his only saving grace. At this point, I can't imagine him
Yeah.
winning a fight.
To break this army is, I mean, how?
He's really got to make a mistake with the liberators, which I just don't see happening right now.
Even that fight is quite decent for Kill.
Yeah, and look at that. As he recalls to that 4th base, Kier just goes up the other ramp. This is really looking like a Terran victory right now. Targeting down those disruptors before they can go off as well. Just nothing left over for Trap.
He's whopping in Stalkers against all these liberators, but they're gonna get destroyed.
EMPs on a handful of units at this
Like
point.
now you see the Stalkers blinking in, but since he has +2, like they don't stand a chance.
Yeah, plus all that Sim bio underneath. The Stalker's just evaporating, and GG is called. Kier going to take game number 2.
Terran strikes back.
Yeah, yeah. That was some nice play.
I feel like Cure, even in game 1, it kind of felt like Cure was more comfortable just going to the next part of the game. Of course, it didn't go very well at the Widowmine drops in game 1, but Trap, it looks more and more like he's focused around these timings of, I'm going to get this and go. And he definitely pushed it too far going into the plant. There's no reason you need to go up the ramp if you're even on bases, you got decent upgrades. Why risk it?
Yeah, after he pulled back when he first attacked into the planter, he could have pulled back like fully, and then just wait a little longer, because he would have had blink, and then with blink and more stalkers, he might have been able to push up the ramp.
Так, ребят, стрим
But it's
перезапускается.
very hard to
10
say. I
секунд.
think Kyo in that case was just in a good position.